Welcome, SciCommers. For this month's mentor chat, we have fellow SciCommer and previous civic science fellow, Martina Ayafini. Martina is going to chat with us about her time as a civic science fellow and her work to help understand how to better engage with young people through science journalism, particularly those young people from historically underrepresented backgrounds in science, including people of color and those from low-income urban and rural areas. And now, Martina, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Tyler. So thank you all. Have a good evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are. Thank you all for having me for this SciComm chat. So my name is Martina, and I'm actually in my last week and some change as a Science News Civic Science Fellow. It ends next week. It has been an amazing 2 years experience. So this presentation, I will talk about my work and talk about how meeting younger audience where they are is so important. So before I get started, I want to talk about, myself and what it means to do my science. So I'm a science communicator and I do all the things in science communication. I write, I edit, I produce, I host, I do video, I do audio, and I combine these things. And I also do a little art. So science communication to me is very fun. It's the creative side of science, and I'm glad that I found that side of science. By way of scientist, my background is in toxicology, and I don't really have one particular area. I would say I'm more of a generalist. And then lastly, I'm a STEM diversity education advocate, and pretty much that's about how I can make science accessible to everyone, especially the younger audiences, and especially those who are historically underrepresented. So I just love this slide because when I was in this presentation, and I did a lot of other presentations, I was like, I have to use this slide. So this is a view of a lot of Science News magazine covers over the years. So Science News was started by Scripps and Ritter when they were like, okay, we have to find a way to publish accurate science information. We know we live in a world of a lot of misinformation and disinformation and fake news. So, at Science News, you're going to find accurate information about like physics, coronavirus, climate change, social science, like so many things. So I just wanted to put that in so you can give some context if you're unfamiliar with Science News. And also we have Science News Explorers, which is a sister publication that caters to the younger audience demographic. Oh, what have I been doing these past 2 years? So, science journalism, that's what I do. And it's like, how can I engage these younger audiences? And for my work, I defined it as Gen Z, in particular teens ages 11 to 17. Because a lot of times in these work, people that are teens get out of that equation. And I was like, that's not right, because they're going to grow up to be adults. We need to communicate with them today. And a big part of my work was focuses on how audience really matters, like teens, their voice, their needs. And I didn't want to come out as a scarcity lack mindset. Be like, okay, what do y'all need? Okay, this is wrong. I wanted to really know their voices and that them tell me what their needs so we can co-design together a pillar of civic science. And then the outcome was to help design a news media product, which I did, and I will talk a little bit more about that as I progress. So, as a Science News Civic Science Fellow, I did all the things to help, engage younger audiences in science. So I was selected for a Neiman Lab Journalism Prediction 2023, a mouthful. And basically, I talked about my experiences and how we have to talk to Gen Z because they are the experts of Gen Z. And yes, this was about Gen Z, but you can apply it to any audience. Like the audience you want to reach, you need to talk to the audience. You can't just say, okay, I'm a Black person, they're a Black person. Okay, we kind of vibe. Like you really want to talk to the audience you want to talk to. So that was very important in my work. I have a website, thenextsciences.com. And when I first started my civic science fellowship project, I wrote for Sister about how we need more STEM Black Girl Magic on our screens. And then I have a TikTok. And also y'all can follow Science News Official to see all the cool TikToks we talk about science. So what have I been doing to do this work? At Science News, we have product thinking. So product thinking is about how you have a product, whether it's a blog or a newsletter, and how you put it out there. So what I did is a SWOT analysis and audience analysis of our competitors. And then also I did outreach to organizations, groups, and teams. And then also I created a toolkit to engage younger audiences in focus groups in science. Because like I said, audience really matters. So I did a recruitment about how to recruit the teens ages 11 to 17 using TikTok. And then I did a focus group with 44 teens, which was a total of 8 focus groups. So here are the outcomes. Okay, sorry. So I did diversity, equity, inclusion was the first theme. The teens wanted to know about identity, language, and cultural background. The next thing was social media, like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. The third thing was marketing and investment we have to take. So we need money, we need people, we need resources. Third was curiosity. And the last one was reliable sources, like they get it from scientists, guardians, or their teachers, or CNN, or Washington Post. So when it came to topics, we're like all over the place. So they said biology, space, chemistry, environmental science, agriculture, and technology. So I'm not going to spend that much time on the slide because I want to have room for questions, but I worked with a lot of people for my whole project, a lot of civic science fellows, a lot of science news colleagues, a lot of science news and sport colleagues, and Society for Science as well. So what is next? What's next is check out my TikTok on Science News Official. I talked about Beethoven and why he has so many locks in his hair. Also check out my TikToks. If you have ideas about where to pitch or showcase my work. And also I am job searching. So if you know anybody that is doing digital storytelling about science, let me know. So throughout my 2 years, here's what I learned. I learned that you have to talk to the audience. You have to come to a place to learn from them, and y'all can learn from each other. Bring your own lived experiences to your work. Remember to co-design. Pivot if necessary. Have wiggle room and enjoy the process. I have these QR codes I'll leave on the screen for a little bit if you want to see science news or explorers. And then also my personal TikTok and my website. And that's all. Like, wanted to keep it short and sweet because, like I said, it's about the audience and y'all my audience. So I want to know, like, what y'all have for me. Any other questions? But thank you.
Thanks, Martina. Does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask before I start with mine? Because I'll ask them all. No? Perfect. Okay. So when you are connecting with the younger audiences, like how did you form those focus groups?
Excuse me. So when I did that, I talked to different groups and said, hey, do y'all have teens? Can we have a chat? And it was like a lot of work. And once I did that, I connected with another fellow, Eric Jensen, at the University of Illinois Champaign. And we worked together to collaborate for the IRB. That took about 3 months. Then once when we got approved on the IRB, we were able to have focus groups together. And then I was able to have my focus groups by myself for my project. So I just created a script. Sometimes I edited the script a little bit based on the group. And I had about 4 to 5 people per focus group. And then I was doing focus groups for like 3 months for like every week to every other week.
Cool. So, for your TikTok with science news and your own TikTok, how did you use those focus groups specifically to kind of tailor your content, or did you use them just sort of as a rough guideline?
So it was like a little bit of mix. So I had so much information when I did the focus groups. And what I decided to do, I wanted to make sure we had the teens and then what we want to do at Science News. So at Science News Explorers, there's a younger demographic, and they do a Q&A on Instagram. And then I said, hey, what if we use a Q&A but put it on TikTok? Because people are curious, children are curious, teens are curious. So we did that. And once I did that, I basically had to do a pitch. So I did a pitch about how we can do a Q&A. And then my first Q&A was based on Science News Explorers, Why Are Giraffes Tongue Blue? And it was a task only TikTok. And then I did another one on seawater and why is it salty? And then I did another one recently on Beethoven and why he has so many locks of his hair. That wasn't from the Q&A, but that was a separate Q&A. And then right now I'm working on a physics Q&A. So it was like a combination of taking what I learned from the focus groups and what we already had and then combining them together.
So we have a question from the chat. How did you get the teens to want to participate in the focus groups?
Yeah, that's a good question. Thank you, Jennifer. Because when I first started, I was like, okay, I did have a goal of 80 teens. I'm so glad we did not choose 80 teens. That's a lot. So we actually went to 44 teens, and then I had 8 focus groups. I had girls. I had a couple of all-girl ones, a couple of code ed ones, middle school only, high school only, because I wanted to make sure they felt comfortable in the Zoom room. And then also after that, I just say, we want to pay you $25 gift card. So every participant received $25 gift card, vanilla gift card. And then also I said, hey, would you like to join? They did a minor consent, parent consent, and a media consent.
Have you noticed any sort of different engagement with audiences depending on whether the content is on TikTok versus like Instagram or Twitter?
Let me see. Let me think about that for a second. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, have you noticed any differences in engagement with younger audiences, depending on the specific platform, like TikTok versus Instagram, or even TikTok versus Twitter, since Twitter is kind of like an older medium?
So yeah, so a lot of the teens, they would say like the preferred platform was like TikTok, also YouTube and YouTube Shorts. And then some of them couldn't use TikTok, so they use YouTube Shorts a lot. But I would say the content was kind of like different. And they said we definitely should post more on TikTok a lot. They were like TikTok, 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 TikTok. And I was like, okay, we could do that.
So for, if you have this, like, let me slow down. What is my question? So for the different mediums, if the audience is kind of getting something different from each medium, how do you tailor your content to fit the different platform that you're on? So like, if it's on the same topic, how would you change your approach from TikTok to YouTube Shorts to Instagram to Twitter?
So yeah, TikTok and YouTube Shorts are kind of similar. But the only thing about YouTube Shorts, it has to be 60 seconds or less. So you have to really make sure you like chop it down a lot. We don't really use a lot of YouTube Shorts like that. For TikTok, it could be like, I would say a sweet spot is like under 2 minutes. Mainly definitely under 2 minutes. For Instagram, you want it visually appealing. And basically you look at the story and you say, should it go? And then you think about it, bring it to your team, and then we say write a pitch, and then you do it. So it takes a lot of collaboration and then a lot of like deciding where it makes sense. And also the audience you are interested in reaching. Like teens are like on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube the most.
So in the other collaborations, like the other groups that you have done, has there been a collaboration that stood out the most to you?
I would say my favorite group that I work with, it was 2. I work with this group called the Chief Science Officers. They based in Arizona, and they had a lot of teams, and I did a lot of things with them. They were like remarkable, and it was amazing to work with them. And then also I worked with a group called Club Sherry from Missouri, I believe. And that's when I had mainly like all Black girls. And they really like got me like shook, and I learned so many things about them, and they wanted to learn about me, and they wanted to learn about my art, and they wanted to say, you know, we want diversity everywhere. Like we want to learn about hair, makeup, culture. And then recently today, I was talking to a Black woman who's also from Baltimore like me, and she is a cosmetic chemist. And I was telling her about this work, and she was like, wow, we got to collaborate. So I would say those two were like my favorite collaborations that I did for the focus groups.
And in your collaborations, have any of your collaborations had a way of engaging younger audiences that you hadn't considered before and that you have taken into your own approach?
Um, hmm, let's see. I would say I kind of considered it because I've been talking to a lot of people for the on the society side. And one of the main things that came up was like you need to talk to like our teachers. And we want to find ways to make science fun, not like really boring. So they was like, talk to our teachers, engage with them, make the lessons more engaging. So that was like a big feedback that I got for the students. So I was like, we got to do more teacher outreach.
So with teacher outreach, do you think it would be something that could be, well, I guess not part of the project currently because it is almost finished, but like in the future, do you think that sort of youth engagement is something that should be more focused on, especially with teachers and other communicators and people who are trying to get information to younger audiences?
Yeah, I would say we definitely should focus on teachers because you know they work really hard and they know their students well, and we really should like engage them more because they have access to the students. So we talk to the teachers, we get access to the students, we build like a community. And I feel like we really can co-design like better if we do that. So going that teacher route to me is a way that we really should go. And actually for the Society for Science, we collaborate with teachers across the world, over I believe 5,000 schools.
Does anyone else have questions? Because I have a bunch and I'm gonna just keep asking them, but I want to give anyone else an opportunity, although I won't wait long. Okay, so when you are working with teachers in engagement, I guess like within the educational realm or education adjacent realm, um, have you had to keep in mind like the different sort of like curriculum standards of like in different school districts?
That's not something that came up for me that much, but I think if I'm not mistaken, but correct me, I could be wrong. But like on the society side, like my colleagues that work more with educators, they definitely follow all the different guidelines. But that wasn't really at the forefront of my project. But we definitely like everything from science news, the explorers is definitely in alignment. So when I pulled content, it was already like fact check and it was already in alignment to make sure, you know, it was on par to go into the educational system because all our science is like accurate science, and is also engaging.
Is there for anyone in our audience who might be interested in becoming a civic science fellow, are there any insights that you can share uh, from your sort of like the application process or just your experience of being a civic science fellow?
So I would say we are looking for civic science fellows. If you go to civicsciencefellows.org, you can see a few openings. Some of them need different educational requirements, and all of them not posted right now. Also, I would say make sure you like decide what you want to do. A lot of my fellows, we were very different, like masters, PhD, postdoc, professional. So that's the beauty of the Civic Science Network is that all the fellows do very different things. So that's a plus. So I would say think about an area of science you're interested, or think about the area of civic science you want to do. Like a lot of my fellows, like I did science communication and journalism. Some people did social justice, climate, history related things, public health, things that are science in Puerto Rico. So it's like a lot of different topics. What else? Social justice. Already said that. So like I said, it's a lot of different options. And I would just go to the website to see what jobs are available. And they're about for 18 months. The fellowship, mine was extended to 2 years because they liked the work I did. And I'm so grateful for that.
And speaking of the work you did, you developed a science news toolkit and guide for newsrooms interested in engaging with people of younger audiences. Could you go a little bit more into what's in that?
Yes, hold on. Let me just, it's been a while since I looked at that, but thank you for these good questions. Okay. But I do know that in the toolkit that I made, so I'm just looking at it right now in my notes, is that I basically talked about what was the purpose of my project. So I talked about competitive analysis and focus groups and like the purpose of the focus groups. Also talked about the background of like myself in science news. What else? Also included like how we were going to do it. So like how compensation was very important for me. And also I gave a digital thank you letter to everyone, like the organization and the participant. I'm really big on thank you letters. And I wanted to make sure they know that we care and that we are grateful that they participated. Also, I talked about different notes, different groups that I wanted to talk to, how to talk to them, how to make sure, you know, bring in your authentic self. If you don't know something, that's okay. Let them know. I don't know. Also talked about the IRB process. And what else? And then I came up with a lot of questions in the groups that I wanted to work on. So it was like, it's very, very thorough. I'm trying to like see where to put all this information I have after the fellowship, because that's what we're trying to like figure out now.
So is there like a specific example of like different ways that you would advise someone in the newsroom to talk with different youth groups that you have in your toolkit?
I would say first, like start with who you know. Like if you know like a youth group in your neighborhood, in your city, your state, et cetera, I would say start there. And also do some cold calling emails. That's what I did. I just say, hey, you know, Martina, I'm a science and civic science fellow. This is my outcome. Would you like to have a chat? And just see what it goes from there. Some people, you know, everybody's extremely busy, especially educators and people that work with young people. So I took that into consideration. And then some people I got back to and some of them I didn't. But it was no harm. And I just was like, you know what? I have to keep the ball rolling. So I would suggest just talk to different groups, start locally first, and then start expanding. And then also pitch it on social media. Like I was like on Twitter, I was like, anybody middle or high school person interested, DM me.
Um, you said that you're looking for somewhere to put your toolkit after you're done with your fellowship. Is that like a newsroom that you are interested in expanding the toolkit with, or just like a hosting website kind of thing?
So it's kind of like both.
Mhm.
So we were talking about this a lot for the past couple of months. And so I just recently pitched to Pointer and Neiman Lab. So that's like two areas that they might get back to me. Maybe also like writing it for other publications. I'm not really sure. Because like I like the work that I did and I really enjoyed it a lot. And I know it can help a lot of newsrooms and organizations. So I'm just trying to figure out where can it go. Like right now, I don't know exactly where it's gonna go. But we trying to figure it out.
Mhm.
So if y'all have ideas, let me know. Journals, publications, websites. And also I see Jake is here. I did SAI TV with Fannie Well talking about my work. So that was like one location where I put it. And it's also on my website as well.
So I know you said that your main audience is teens. Are there any differences in engagement with sort of the younger teens? So like the 13, 14, 15 versus older teens, such as the 16 through 19.
I would say definitely yes. Middle schoolers were so chatty. It was so easy to talk to a middle schooler. They were like chatty, chatty, chatty. High school students, it was like pulling teeth. And I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna get from this. So I really had to like go deep and like pry them with their questions. And then after a while, they loosened up and they got information. But I feel like high school was like more pressure. Middle school is kind of like a different type of pressure. So the middle school students were, like I said, so chatty. But I was like, that's expected for the different age groups. So I just chose to navigate it in the way based on what made sense and like edit things as necessary. So if I feel like it was kind of stale, I was like, what do y'all think? Or we also had activities. Like I had, what if you had opportunity to do something for science news? What would you do in detail? So I had that activity. Also, I had like little icebreakers with emoji scales to try to make it fun.
Oops, I was muted, my bad. So, so with specifically like with middle schoolers, have you found, since you said they were very chatty, did you find that they had different sort of science interests, or were they just more open to talking about those interests just because they were just more open to chatting in general?
I would say all the interests pretty much were like the same across the board. It was like biology and chemistry were the top ones. And I would still say middle school, like I said, they were just chatty, chatty, chatty. I could have had that focus group for 4 hours. With the high schoolers, it was like, oh, I probably could only have it for like an hour. And I did have a 10-minute break in between so they could like eat, use the bathroom, stretch, et cetera, because I was like, who wants to be on the camera for 2 hours? And then also I noticed that like the middle schoolers were so eager to be on camera. The high schoolers were like, we don't want to be on camera. So then I toyed with like, do I like kind of tell them we want them on camera? Do we not? And then I played around with different focus groups and I just read the energy, even though they weren't really saying much. But I'm a person that's kind of like persuasive. And also I'm a person that, if it's not working, it's not working. So I found like a balance between each focus group and handle it that way. And I still got the information that I needed. And then I got really good feedback, even the ones that were silent for a long time.
What was some of that feedback that you got back from your group?
The one middle school group were like, we really felt like we were heard. And we loved it so much. We would definitely do it again. I got a lot of them that said we definitely will do it again. A lot of them said they would read science news, they were referred to their friends. They wish they knew about this earlier. That they were grateful that they had opportunity to do it. They liked that they got paid. They liked that we had breaks. And they liked about the work that I'm doing. And they wanted to learn more. So that made me feel like, oh, I was like so happy and like proud of myself for that too.
So, since they said that they really liked that they felt heard, do you like how do you continue to make your audiences feel heard in sort of the content that you do? I guess specifically on the TikTok side, since we'll stick to one platform.
I make sure they heard on the TikTok side. What I would say is definitely like try to engage with the comments, even if it's a like. I forgot to mention, this is so important. I did a 4-part video TikTok series report. Because I went back and forth to do that. And then I was like, my colleagues, they was like, we don't really know. And I was like, I don't really know. And I was like, should I do this? What's the importance of this? And then I, prayed on it, marinated on it. And I said, yes, I'm gonna do this. And also brought it up to the teens and was like, would you all watch that? And it was like, yes, we would definitely watch it. So, I took to the drawing board. I'm a person that sometimes I'm not scripted and then sometimes I'm scripted depending on the situation. So I did like a hybrid of script and non-script. Like I just turned my camera on, said what I wanted to say. Sometimes it was so rambly. And then I was like, this sounds good. This does not sound good. And then I was like, this is a lot of content. So I was like, it needs to be multiple parts. So I broke it up into 4 parts, like my project intro. Then I had like the themes. Then I had my what's next, and then I had the science topics. So once I had those 4 different video ideas, I just started recording over and over. And if anyone who records, like for TikTok, which is very short, that you can record and sometimes it's not recording. You can record and then you looking wild in the face and you just have to re-record and refilm, and that's what it is. So I had to do it a lot of times, and just say, okay, does this sound right? Does this look right? Did I put all the information in? And then I sent it to my multimedia editor and I was like, here's what I have. And then she said, okay, this is good, but you should add this or you should delete this. And then I edited using CapCut on my iPad. I filmed on my iPhone 11, and I just made sure I had good natural lighting. And then I wore colors that suit me. Like I like yellow, so I did that, and I had my background because it showcased my personality and my art, and it all came together. And when you're doing these things, you just like, how will it come together? But it does. And that's what this whole project taught me, because when I first started, I did not know what I was doing. And I think a lot of us fellows were like, we don't know what we're doing, but that's okay. So once we figured it out and it worked.
And I guess, how do you kind of plan for updating your methods? So like, do you plan on doing focus groups in the future? Because eventually teens will become adults and there will be new teens and they'll like something completely different. Like I'm always surprised that my like teen nieces and nephews don't like the same things that I liked in middle school when, the early 2000s are timeless.
Definitely timeless. That would be really, really nice. That would be so cool if we could do like a study like with the same people like layers down the line. But that's not something that we put in the IRB or something I don't think we have the resource and people power for. But on the society side, when I say society side, I'm saying like Science News and Sports is a publication. And then we have Society for Science, which is nonprofit and it has a lot of competitions and they work with a lot of young people. And I was saying like they do a lot of, like I said, competitions, work with the educators more so directly. So maybe they do have the people in the competitions that they kind of like follow them throughout the years. And then they talk about their research. So, but I haven't thought about it in that way of my focus groups and having the same people as adults or just having like a different variation with adults. But that's something that would be nice to do. Like I said, I don't know about the people power, resource power, money power to do so.
Yeah, I would like, if all of that could come together, as you said before, it would be really cool to see, especially like on like the next, big platform. Although I don't know what would be after TikTok, but I also said I don't know what's after MySpace. So I'm clearly not a good social broadcaster. But I think it was really interesting if even if you specifically didn't, if that was a plan to kind of continuously survey the youth on the platforms that they are using. That was just more of a comment than a question.
Yeah, I think that would be cool though. Like I said, I'm not going to throw it out because you never know, things can happen.
True.
But I think it would be a cool landscape to do.
Mhm. Yeah. Do you notice, I guess it's more of like since TikTok has like kind of flourished more in these last couple of years, which include you being a civic science fellow, did you notice sort of a shift in platform usage from Instagram to TikTok? And I know you mentioned that YouTube Shorts is typically used for people who aren't on TikTok or can't use TikTok.
Shift. I really didn't like look that deeply. Maybe I can, because I know a lot of people have been asking me about like the analytics and all that kind of stuff. At Science News, we definitely have a person that does more metrics than I do. And that's something I do want to like learn more about metrics and perhaps data journalism. Because there's a lot of information there. But I didn't really track that as much. I do know on TikTok that I got like on average like 1,200 views on my 4-part TikTok series. On my Beethoven one, I got like 1,500 views. On my text only ones, I got like on average like 400, 500 views. And I know that those views based on like the Instagram version of the Q&A was more. So I feel like that was a win.
Cool. And do you have to pitch a TikTok differently than you would pitch, say, like a written piece that may have the same or similar information?
Yes.
Mhm.
And I can just like pull up my pitch document because I just worked on one like the other day. I've pitched something about physics. Let's see. So well, it's not showing up. But anyway, so yeah, you have to have like what is the story about? Like, why should we tell the story? Is it a single paper? Is it an explainer? Is it like other? Do you want to host it or is someone else hosting it? Like those type of questions, and then the images you might want to include. And then after you pitch, because we use Slack integration, my multimedia editor at Science News, she's really, really good at it. And she created a TikTok pitch template on Slack. So if you have a pitch on TikTok, you go submit a pitch, it spits it out on Slack. Then your name is highlighted, her name is highlighted, and then it will say Sergeant Martinez submitted a pitch for this. And then you can see it on the TikTok Slack. And then once you go on there, she will say, the pitch is accepted, file assignments, and then it'll be like host, producer, editor, fact checker, et cetera, et cetera. Then you start to file the storyboard. And for the storyboard, you have to like have hashtags, titles, catchy taglines. And then also you want to have like images and sources and credits. In most images, we use Getty images. You want to make sure you credit them properly. And then also you want to make sure if you need any sounds, we use commercial sounds. We can't use like the business account for TikTok. So some sounds we cannot use. So find sounds that go with the video if music is used. Also on the storyboard, like I said, I can actually, let me see, I can show you because I feel like to show you is tell you. I'll show you an example of a storyboard. I won't show too much information. But you get the picture. It's like, can y'all see this? I don't know if you can see this.
Oh, yes, I was muted. Yes.
Okay, so we have, this is the one I did, so I can show it already. So we basically have this here, and then it came up with a script, and then the pictures from Getty, and then also like seawater, and then the credits and stuff like that. I'm gonna just stop so I can see y'all better. So yeah, so we came up with the storyboard, and then I worked with the editor, and she looks at it. Then I work with the multimedia editor, she looks at it. Then I work with a fact checker, they look at it, and then I edit it on Final Cut Pro, or I edit it on CapCut, depending on the project. Or the editor will edit it. Sometimes me, sometimes them.
Mm-hmm. So from like pitching it to posting it, how long does that usually take?
Let me see. It's a process because it definitely depends on the video.
It sounds like
you feel like a 2-minute video is all it is. Mm-hmm. So I would say that I'll give you the highest example. So when I did a 4-part video series for TikTok, when did I even start that? I don't even know. I think I started like late March and it got published late April. And this was with me doing it like every other day, pretty much. I had to keep recording, re-recording, filming, editing, script writing, getting it edited, all the things. And then for like the salty seawater I showed you, that one probably I would say I had to come up with a storyboard, work with the editor, work with the multimedia editor, then go to Premiere Pro to edit, and then put the music in there. The other editor looks at it again. And I would say that might have took like 2 weeks. Then for the one I'm working on for Beethoven, the other person wrote the script. I just did the hosting. And they also edited it. So that one I would say probably took 3-ish weeks. But then it's like a workflow that varies because like our team is very small. So the multimedia editor has to do all these TikToks plus the other stuff that she already works on. So it's a lot of different things. So the workflow kind of like is very based on what is priority. And I just make sure that I, get my part done, then get it to the editor, then get my part done, then get it back. So it's kind of like a back and forth. So like we use Slack integration so well. So you get notifications, you're like, oh, you gotta edit this, do this, because the editor has a good eye. I would say I don't have the best eye for editing because it's hard to edit yourself. So they could like, hey, this, you should say this, you should say this. And then that's how it works. So it varies. But I would say a week is ideal, but that's really not realistic. So I would say 2 weeks to a month, depending on the project.
Yeah, that is, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's not, I'm sure there are projects happening at the same time. So.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because
Yeah.
it's like everybody got to still do the other work. Bye, Jennifer. Thank you. But yeah, so it's like a lot of other things you have to do. It's not like this is the only project. So of course that is into consideration.
Yeah.
And like I said, when you film, you gotta take breaks. You want to
Mhm.
make sure, depending on the vibe, like the Beethoven one, she wanted me to have like more inflection with my voice. So,
Mhm.
because it was like, why would he have so many locks of his hair? Like, and I had to like plan like how to say it. So it's like
Mhm.
acting, but not really. But then you want to be like your authentic self. But then like TikTok is so strange with certain things. Like you could be like very like flat and it's gonna be 100 times flatter. You could be energetic high and it's gonna be slightly lower. So you gotta also think about that because that's the different type of platform.
Yeah. Have you, so when you started your project, and I may be remembering this incorrectly, but you said that Science News wasn't really on TikTok before you started, right?
So when I started, it was an interesting time because when I got hired and I had the interview, they were saying they thinking about TikTok. And then I think it was like a couple of months and they were already, the multimedia editor was already pitching a whole TikTok and then it got approved. So she was already in the making of doing TikTok before I came. And then it just happened when I got there, the times kind of meshed well. So they wanted to do and then once they did that, I was just on the meetings so I can learn about it because I didn't know how to use it at all. I didn't even have a TikTok. So I just started from square one and then got there.
So, and this is a question like specifically for you, like as a science communicator. How has being on TikTok changed sort of how you communicate as a science communicator, if it has at all?
I would say if anything, it taught me about social media, using it for good. Also being intentional with social media, like especially TikTok. Like I was always weary about certain social medias because it's like that's another attention grabbing thing. And you get in a rabbit hole and it's like you want to make sure your overall health is not affected because you're just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. So I had to make sure that I like even set limits on my phone. So I'm not and then also making sure that like I follow content that's worth for me because yes, that's about my personal life, but it's also I'm a human, and then it also works and reflects me as a creator. And then also we make sure that we post topics that are kind of like timely and evergreen, and that makes sense. So we want to make sure that people can go to Science News and find information on XYZ, and that they're not like, is this accurate? But they already know it's accurate. And also we make sure that we find ways to make it more engaging for our audiences. So I would say that kind of is the way it kind of affected me as a science communicator. And I kind of see on TikTok, but not as much. But I do follow like STEM media, Stephanie Custalio, I think that's her last name. I can't remember her last name. We met from Future PhD. Sorry if I'm getting it wrong, but I feel like you'll know her if you'll know STEM media. And I follow a whole bunch of like Black science communicators. And they out there. So I'm like loving it, like seeing it. And I feel like, I use TikTok in a way that I want to use TikTok in science news. We also use it in a way that makes sense to the brain of science news. And I feel like we're doing a good job. We're growing slowly, but we're doing a good job.
Yeah. And so you are on the job market. Are there any like, what am I trying to say, specific like skills that you want to like take from your fellowship into wherever you go into in the future?
I definitely want to take creativity because, like as y'all can see, I got my embroidery back there. I love doing creative things, and that's another reason that I took this option because I was like, I want to do something different, and I want to do something creative and more fun. And this definitely gave me the opportunity. So for my next role, I really want to do more like media and like maybe longer form storytelling, short form storytelling. Like I have a lot of different ideas. And to me, it's just like when, perseverance meets opportunity, that I will find a job that is in alignment to my North Star, that meets my values, my skills, my interests. And basically, like I said, I want to have fun and I also want to enjoy it. And I need it to be work that like fills me because like I believe in like ikagaki, the Japanese purpose in life. I want things to earn money but make an impact in the world. And I also want it to be something I enjoy to do because, like I said, you spend a lot of time at work. And like I said, science news, this has been an amazing experience for me as a fellow, but also as a colleague of working at Science News. They have been so welcoming and I learned so much. Like I was so afraid to be on TikTok and be on a camera. And I was like, I don't want to do that. And it was like, you can do it. And I was like, I think I can. And I tried. And I was like, sometimes I still get a little nervous about it, but that's the way of the land. You still do it anyway. Feel the fear and do it anyway. But like I said, I grew so much as a science communicator. And I want to bring that into my next role too. I want to keep on growing as a science communicator. And I want to work with groups that let me be me. And Science News definitely lets me be me.
Yeah. And with the fear of um being on TikTok, was that just a, a numbers game? Like you just had to do more TikToks until you stopped thinking about the fear, or were there any
I don't know. I think because like so if y'all follow my work and stuff, like my website, like I started science communication as a science writer. When I was younger, I was always writing, I was always reading, I was always doing science. And then it's funny because 17-year-old me was like, I want to science and write at the same time. And then fast forward later, I did that because but I didn't know it was a thing. I thought you had to pick one. And I would say because like it was like quote unquote safer be a writer or a science writer. I was like behind heart. Sorry, my computer's dying. Yeah, about that. Sorry. Definitely apologize. That's the whole point with the tech stuff. Sometimes tech go down. But anyway, so when I started, I was like, I want to do these videos. And it was like science writing was like safer because it was like you don't really have to be like seen and like you can easily edit it. And I really liked it. And I was interviewing scientists for the American Society of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology magazine. And I really enjoyed interviewing people. But then to spotlight it on myself was like different. So I guess that was like the fear. And I was like, I don't want to mess up. But it was like, it's okay to mess up. We're human. So that really stretched me a lot outside of my comfort zone. But to me, if you've been stretched, that means you're growing and you're learning. And then I did it and I'm proud because I feel like I'm really good at it. I enjoy it and I like it. And it's something I want to keep on doing.
That is great. Do we have any other questions? Martina will have to go soon. because she's got other meetings and we do want to respect her time. But I do want to make sure if anyone has any more questions that they are burning to ask, that they get them out. No? Martina, are there any last things that you would like to share with our audience?
Let me see. So I'm trying to see. I would say if you kind of skeptical or you're not sure about like science communication, talk to me, and also just join, because like it's the fun side of science. It's the cool side of science. Like I'm biased, but like science communicators, we extra fun. Y'all all probably attended these SciComm mentoring chats, and I have. And on being on the other side, I'm like learning a lot, and I really enjoy that. And I'm glad and grateful that I got this opportunity to do this today. So I would say if you're interested, try it. Start a blog, start a website, make a TikTok, make a YouTube. It doesn't matter if it's messy. I mean, we all messy in the beginning. And if you look at my old videos, you would just be like, what? But it's no, like I said, it's a part of the learning process and the growth experience. And then if you don't like it, you can try something else or you can try it again. But science communication is very, very diverse. You can choose how you want to do it. And that's why, like I said, I love it. And I'm glad that I decided that science communication is my career, because it aligns with me and I feel like it helped me found my North Star. And also I love the fellowship that I got to integrate civic science in it, because like I said, I basically did that growing up, volunteering, all these type of things, mentoring. And as a civic science fellow at Science News, I got to pretty much do all of that in a different way.
That's a lovely note to end on. So thank you all for attending this month's mentor chat. As I say in all of them, our 2023 mentor chat series is booked up. And we are currently booking for 2024. So if you've got any science communicators, science journalists, anyone who talks about it adjacently that you would like to see and you think might answer my emails, let me know so we can have the series tailored to our own audience. And so we can keep it going for as long as we exist. In October, we will have Allison Coffin, the president of the Association of Science Communicators, which is formerly known as Science Talk. And then we will end our 2023 series in November with a mentor chat about getting started in audio with our former SciCommers coordinator and current assistant producer for NPR Shortwave, Burley McCoy. And with that, I would like to say thank you again, and we will end the recording.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you.